Death Valley, one of the harshest and driest regions on Earth. Death Valley receives less than 2 inches of rainfall a year. With so little water, few plants thrive in the desert. However, when the conditions for growth are right, the desert comes to life. All students possess the capacity for creative and innovative thinking, skills that are crucial components of 21st century learning. Our goal as educators is to provide the conditions that inspire and foster the growth of every student's innate ability to create and innovate. This is a fascinating and challenging time to be in education. Graduates today are facing a constantly changing global economy. Employers of today and tomorrow demand employees who exhibit proficiency in problem solving, creative expression, and innovative thinking, since many of the jobs today students will have don't even exist yet. So how do we create the conditions in the classroom that prepare students for this future? Highly successful classrooms can parallel the conditions of some of today's most creative and innovative organizations. Author and educational consultant Dr. John Brown has been writing about trends in 21st century education for years.
I think it's a fascinating time to be born and a fascinating time to be graduating from high school. Students today are facing unparalleled challenges. The ability to adapt to change, the ability to be creative, expressive, innovative. All of these are really kind of the basic skills now of the 21st century.
And he describes 5 conditions that help promote creativity and innovation. These crucial components for effective 21st century schools are evident in highly successful classrooms and workplaces throughout the world.
I think one of the things we look at is that great innovative companies are not traditional in the way they look or the way the workplace looks. I mean, the workers are able to play games in the workplace, they dress informally, they interact, they really set to some degree their own schedules and so forth. What we're looking at is environments, whether they're work environments or learning environments, that really exploit openness, divergent thinking, creative expression, group interaction, group dynamics, and that's what we see in the successful workplaces. And we need to make classrooms successful workplaces like 21st century corporations that are really succeeding. It's been said that creativity and innovation have both individual and social faces. It's individual in the sense that students' unique gifts, potentials, intelligences have to be exploited within the school environment. And students, for example, who learn best independently can't be penalized by always being forced to necessarily work in cooperative learning structures, but the idea is they're going to learn to be able to work in groups as well.
What makes a good story? Think about the stories that you like and the things that we've learned this year about stories. Today's lesson was planned around story. I was really happy at the beginning of the lesson the students made the connection to storytelling isn't just fictional, it's not just for fun, but it includes journalism and teaching lessons.
When Tom Brokaw's quote, it's all storytelling, you know, that's what journalism is about. Christian, I think he wrote, does he mean yellow journalism? And I guess in a way it kind of is because they're like exaggerating the truth, but it's not like as bad as Hearst and Pulitzer. It's just for like entertainment's sake. So it wouldn't be all like they lost the game. It's like more dramatic.
So that was the whole basis of the lesson, to practice story. Go ahead and take a minute to share with your neighbor. If your neighbor has something really great that you wish you had on your list, take it from them, add it to yours.
You want to get the reader's attention by using descriptive words and details. And I thought that Rick Riordan, he did a wonderful job of that.
And he had a lot of good details.
Yeah, like and descriptive words and showing, not telling, and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's a good series.
We're going to come back to your lists in just a moment. Before we do that, we're going to do a little version of table texting. And I have a set of quotes here for you. You're going to notice when you read the quotes, they all have a similar theme. I'd like you to read them to yourself. And if you have any comments on any of them at all, I just want you to write them down. I'm going to ask you to trade your paper with somebody once without talking at all. Just trade your paper. Look at what someone else wrote about one of the quotes. Maybe you have a comment back to them. So you're having a silent conversation. And finish up what you're writing. And you're going to trade with somebody else this time. You're going to have a new paper. Metacognition. That's another word that I introduced early in the year. I want them to think about how they're thinking, because it's not about finding an answer. They hear me say that a lot. I don't care what your answer is. I want to know how you got your answer. If they know how they got their answer, they're going to be able to apply those same skills to another problem.
There needs to be time for reflection, for self-monitoring, for what's been called metacognition, teaching students to be self-regulating and self-monitoring. But then there's the social face of it, a collaborative interaction, collaborative problem solving and investigation.
We've talked about the word metacognition before, thinking about the way we think. Has your thinking changed being able to see other people's quotes? Ashley?
When Anya read the first one, humans are not ideal to understand logic, they're just ideal to set up and understand stories. She said it's true, like, we don't like logic, we like to be entertained. And I thought that was really good because, like, we don't all just want to sit there and learn the facts all day. We want to be entertained while experiencing it ourselves.
Anya really gave you a new perspective?
Yeah.
Did you want to share, Virginia?
I guess I kind of changed because I always used to think of stories as something fictional, but especially with the quotes about journalism and stuff, I could really see it more. It can also be truthful, too.
Interesting. I like that you guys are thinking about how your thinking is changing, and I'm going to ask you to just switch one more time.
Collaboration is a trend that's hitting higher education in a big way. Across our university and our classrooms, I mean, we're seeing faculty really radically change the way that they organize their classes. Very rarely do you see students completing all their activities alone. Even in some of our largest sections, 300-500 students, kids are put into teams. And then you introduce all the tools that are being used between wikis, Google Docs and other things like that, where students are actually being encouraged to work with one another. And they've found ways to do that. I mean, they've shifted work out of LMS environments and into things like Facebook, where they can build groups and really quickly they have this really nice ability to come together, sort of the merging of social and learning going on.
Kids this age, they're all about their relationships with their peers, and so we can use that. We can use that to help them learn. If for some reason they're not engaged in that particular subject matter, they are engaged in working with their classmates.
Helping students to discover their personal voice, strengths, and interests provides fertile ground for their creativity to take root and grow. Teachers are encouraged to allow their students choice and decision-making power whenever possible.
Each of us is unique and talented and gifted in our own way, and the more we exploit students' uniquenesses and strengths and interests and learning profiles, the more we really accommodate the curriculum to the learner, and the learner becomes the center of the learning process. I also think that allowing students choice periodically as to the kinds of products and performances they use to demonstrate standards mastery is critical. Things like artistic, creative, expressive, technology-based kinds of products and performances are equally as significant as, let's say, a composition in some cases to confirm the students have really learned and understood what they've been exploring and investigating.
The yardstick that they use in a traditional education sense, when they come in and apply it here, it doesn't fit, because we do things on a project-oriented basis. We require a lot more of our kids at the sort of the higher level design, concept, abstraction level.
Project-based learning maximizes students' creativity and innovation by appealing to different interests and strengths.
And then for the other side, we have to have 2 holes in this, right?
Students at the Howard Gardner School are designing and installing a solar power system for their environmental science classroom.
We got a grant from Dominion Power to provide some sort of solar electricity to this building. A lot of it was budgeting, counting money, and sizing a system, doing some electrical math, that sort of stuff.
With the measuring.
No, it's just if we put this.
I would say that I did a lot of, what do you think we need? And then they would talk that amongst themselves.
And we're really going to take your areas of strength and get you all juiced up over that, because then it's a trickle up theory essentially. You know, if you get juiced over that, then you may find yourself needing this other area that you're not so great at over here, and that you're going to be able to grab those things and sort of lift all of your skills and do the work that's necessary.
Great teachers are like gardeners. They create an environment conducive to growth. They're guides and facilitators of learning, and students are active rather than passive processors of information and acquirers of skills and procedures.
Are putting the locus of control in the students' hands.
So you guys are going to decide what goes into a good story. I'm going to have you create your rubric first based on what makes a good story. What should you get an A for? They took everything that we've learned so far this school year and incorporated it into their rubric. And all of that went into what they want to be graded on, what they see as a good story.
We should also add in like showing, not telling, and using descriptive words to like get your reader's attention.
I think you should have a good description of the characters, because then you can get to know them better and you'll probably understand the story more.
Master teachers allow students to take ownership of their growth and development.
They love to be involved in the process. Instead of me just saying, here, this is what we're doing, this is what you're going to be graded on, they have ownership. They love to be involved.
That doesn't just get your interest, it keeps it, okay?
A creative and innovative curriculum emphasizes big ideas and conceptual patterns rather than discrete information taught in isolation.
How do we get kids to see the purposefulness of what they're learning, what's been called the compelling why? Why am I learning this? Where am I going? Why am I going there?
I've been in this classroom. I've had this class on a dark, cloudy day when I couldn't see. The next students are going to come in next year. They're going to flip a light switch and say, wow, how'd this happen?
Students in successful classrooms understand not only what they're doing, but why they're doing it, and how it connects to the world beyond the classroom.
The process of installing things, finding out where to place things, where to place a switch, where to place an electrical box, that sort of deepens their understanding of how technology works with people.
Really making students see how what they're doing in the classroom connects to the world beyond it.
All the materials you'll need are right over there. Okay. And let's kick it.
So at first, when we were designing the houses, a lot of the architects, we decided to think of previous houses that we've been to and how they're structured. And then we had some requirements, like a bedroom, bathroom, closet, the kitchen, and you'd have to have a little laundry room. We were divided into teams of 3. We had one engineer, one builder, and one architect. The engineer was responsible for how best we could save energy. The builders, they had to do a lot of cutting. I think that's the most painful process in this entire job. The architect, me, and the builder, we'd have to do a lot of communicating with each other to make sure that everything went properly.
We all have to work together to get the whole house together.
It's kind of interesting to learn how to design stuff and make them actually fit into a real 3D model of that. Like, for example, if I was going to be an engineer when I grow up, it's nice to know how everything can be put together.
I need to see the blueprint first.
As the year moved on, I gave them different responsibilities, just using roll cards for their literature circles. So there's a discussion director, and that person's in charge of asking the questions and making sure that the conversation keeps moving.
Some questions I have is, what are examples of the problem?
And there's a connector who actually reads the book and tries to make personal connections to their lives and to the other students' lives.
Innovative corporations such as Intel and Google use progressive workspaces to promote collaboration.
We put in a new studio space that's not for digital media or anything. We call it Cafe ETS, and it used to be a little multimedia center, but now it's just a place with some chairs. The lighting's a little softer. It's a place where you can go and sort of chill out.
The Maturity Group was launched with the idea of moving into 21st century learning, and our vehicle for doing that is technology. It's podcasting, and it's social networking, and it's research online, and it's digital storytelling.
When they present their stories, they'll have choice in how they do that. They might do a podcast. If they want some visuals with their story, they could do a movie maker or a photo story. They want to, they can do a PowerPoint. If they want to just get up and tell their story, they can do that.
So I decided to do an audiobook, and so I recorded it on the computer, and then I submitted it through the Blackboard and to Miss Slevin, so basically she can just play it when on Monday. And then right now I'm deciding if I want to make a visual to go with it. So
really what I'm doing today is making a podcast to show about how families have traveled on the Oregon Trail, like the dangers and things that could have happened.
Yeah, I'm thinking of doing a blog where people can post their favorite characters, because I've been doing the Harry Potter series lately. I'm going to put Ron Weasley from the book, because he's really funny.
I want them to come up with their own ideas and feel like they have the ownership.
With the blogs at Penn State, a student can maintain a blog, not just for a single class, but throughout their whole career here at Penn State. They have ownership of that. And that not only helps motivate them to participate more, it also gives them a stake in their own learning. And if they are keeping this blog, they can go back, read their blog and kind of see how their thinking has changed, and to help them kind of figure out where they need to go next. In that case, becoming an architect of their own learning.
And that this is a journey that they will continue through life.
We've created this kind of lifelong learning habit for them.
And understanding that learning is life.
Highly successful workplaces today are democratic and holistic. Creative and innovative classrooms help students to understand that their classroom is a community and that they're a valuable and responsible member of that community. And in fact, we're all in this together.
The ASCD Whole Child Compact talks about engaged learners, students who are emotionally connected to the learning environment, to the content, to one another. The exciting part about talking about creativity and innovation as kind of 21st century skills is that they really brilliantly align with the whole child perspective. In other words, addressing the needs and the strengths of the whole individual, the entire individual as a learner. ASCD and the Whole Child Compact, for example, have really identified the need for the social, the emotional, the behavioral, and health issues of students being as important as the cognitive and intellectual.
At the beginning of the year, the kids and the teachers all get together as one community and develop our constitution. So basically I tell them that there are two things. It has to be a safe place, and there has to be mutual respect.
There is that idea that we're all in this together, and I think the teachers here, model that again and again.
I think it's important to create your classroom community. It's just something that's built throughout the year.
Creative and innovative learners need to master social interaction skills in addition to content standards. Habits of mind, such as the ability to recognize hot buttons and restrain impulsivity, and the capacity in group settings to reach consensus, resolve conflicts, and achieve long-range goals.
Collaborative interaction has to become a norm in classrooms. And the ability of students to get along and to work with one another and to self-regulate and restrain impulsivity as part of a group is important as well.
They respect each other and are able to share ideas with each other. That's something that's really taught. You discuss how to share opinions, how not to hurt other people's feelings. At the beginning of the year, we create a list of how to have a good conversation, how to disagree respectfully. Even when we did our blogs, they talked about those common courtesies in writing and blogging etiquette.
We were talking, and you did a really good job of copying down exactly what we said. But, for example, has a strong plot. We were thinking you could just say strong plot.
It makes learning easier in the classroom.
In creative and innovative classrooms, students learn to adjust their own behavior and learning as they receive on-the-spot feedback from their instructors and peers.
When they go out into the world, they will have to work with others, and it's important to know how to disagree with somebody respectfully, how to get your opinion across and not offend somebody. Working with others is just a life skill.
Successful 21st century workplaces are also characterized by the use of cross-functional teaming, just as successful classrooms make use of flexible grouping and cooperative learning.
Great companies really are making an effort to make sure that collaborative interaction, collaborative problem solving and investigation, and cross-functional teaming, where the structures don't remain intact consistently, but where the goal, for example, necessitates a team be formed, we form it and then we dissolve it, as opposed to everybody stays in the same team forever.
We do a lot of collaborative work, a lot of group work. In some works you'll start together and then you'll go off and kind of do your own thing and then come back. In others you're working together all the time.
Before I have them all share, I let them talk with their neighbors. That way they're getting ideas from their neighbors, they're able to express their thoughts one-on-one before sharing with the whole class. So that way everyone in the class is participating, they're all thinking, no one's sitting back, yet when they're called on they all feel safe to share because it's not the first time they've shared it.
Getting together with a team to collaborate, you can accomplish things you can't accomplish on your own. You need extra ideas, extra mind time to think, talk that through.
Finally, creative and innovative classrooms are like all successful 21st century organizations. They both acknowledge the dynamics of the change process. Such organizations encourage open and ongoing discussions about the need for change and the inevitable complexities associated with it.
Great workplaces and great classrooms really emphasize the process of change and how we deal with it as human beings. And dealing with change is difficult. That's to some degree why I think we've remained sort of fixed in the industrial model as long as we have for education. But it's pushing the limits that's part of the change process as well. It's going outside traditional parameters and boundaries.
But getting from point A to point B isn't as easy as as a one-step process. I mean, there might be 100 micro steps along the way that you have to take to get there. But again, those are those critical skills, right? Being able to learn how to live within an environment that is constantly asking you to change.
The explosion of technology they're exposed to gives them a sense that things are constantly changing in the environment. It's not sufficient simply to prepare students for standardized tests. It's really preparing students for success in a world that's constantly changing.
As educators in the 21st century, we're charged with preparing students for changes in a complex, interconnected world. The 21st century skills of creativity and innovation are critical and non-negotiable elements of successful schooling today. It's our responsibility to create learning environments where these skills can flourish. The more our students learn to be responsible for their own learning, and the greater their level of transfer and self-expression, the greater their growth and success in our rapidly changing, globally interdependent world.
The brisk wind howled through the streets of downtown New York. The snow no longer looked like intricate cutouts. It rather appeared that the souls of the deceased girls were coming back to slap the town in the face for their ignorance to the flame. I desired so much to go crawl into my corner at home instead of standing in front of my own personal prison. The leaders are passionate about standing up for our rights, yet I wonder what the point is. I'm a woman. No one will listen to me, no matter how long I stand out here with my wooden sign and my deteriorating hope for happiness.
It's a hot summer day in Independence, Missouri. We boarded our covered wagon to leave to California. Water, check. Bread, check. Candles, check. Matches, check. Here we go. 6 months left. It's only been 3 months and we're out of water. Hopefully we can find a river to drink from and fill up our canister. The nights haven't been so bad. Nothing serious has happened. Yet. Only a month left. These last few weeks have been really good. We found a deer and had a very calming dinner. I guess this won't be so bad after all.